This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Cat Bus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, N-I-N-E-T-Y, 4 F-O-R, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Hold on to your butts.
Hello, and welcome to this bonus episode of I Dig Crazy Flicks with Cat Bus Russ. I'm your host, Cat Bus Russ, and this is the home of 90 for Chill, the podcast, and I'm recording from New Orleans this time. I'm just about a block away from the Ernest Morel Convention Center, where they are having Fan Expo 2025. Fan Expo New Orleans 2026. I've done about 3 takes on that, so we're just going to roll with it because I'm going to discuss the first couple of days at the convention, maybe even the evening prior, as I got into New Orleans down on a train from Champaign, about 17 hours. So I'm a little loopy a bit, and, other elements will just say kind of leaves me a little off my game perchance. But since this is a movie podcast, I think it's best that I at least review a movie, so we will discuss briefly I can be long-winded, but I'm going to go and discuss the DC animated feature Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox, which almost makes me want to just watch The Flash to see what kind of chaos that is, because this is a perfect blueprint. So that'll be about a 7 minutes, so if you want to just skip to the 10-minute mark in the podcast to hear about Fan Expo 2026 in New Orleans, feel free to do so.
World War III. Maybe I could have stopped it if I just ran a little faster. Faster! The Speed Force allows the Reverse Flash to travel through time. He changed something in the past. We have to find out what he changed and change it back before they kill everyone on the planet. In my world, I'm a hero.
You mean like Batman?
No matter how fast you run, you can't save everyone.
We're running out of time.
War's over. Everybody lost.
No!
You'd be amazed the monsters this world can create.
New Year's resolutions. I cannot say that I've had many in mind this year. There's thoughts of really starting on the Book of Cat Bus before Cat Bus 316. I just approved your butt, which is Vinny's joke. I'll move on from that. But, I'm just trying new things. Let's see if I can watch a movie a day this year. I've done a lot of just for noise sake as I'm organizing Pokemon. That would be Alien Cubed, Alien Resurrection. I know I've watched something else. We're talking about January 5th as I'm recording. But, I've caught up on some of the... there we go. I've revisited some of the DC animated cartoons, and I decided, by the time I got settled in after preparing my podcast for January 7th, I decided, I need something. It was going to be 10:30, so it's like I need a sub 100-minute movie to make this work. So I watched Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox. And this actually makes a lot of sense with other titles I've watched in the DC animated universe, and I've found that a lot of them are directed by Jay Oliva. So the first one of those I've seen of his was the Dark Knight Returns animated adaptation, which I loved. And then after that, I think it was the Suicide Squad, or I should say Batman Assault on Arkham. Yeah, and I've seen his two movies, it wasn't Son of Batman, Batman versus Robin, and the sequel to that, the third in the Batman and Damian Wayne trilogy. And, I would say Batman versus Robin is the only one I didn't feel inspired to own at some point. So I think he's got a lot of talent, and he's got a lot of vibe, at least artistically, I would say, of Ian Flux. So that's very cool. He's not related to that. And he's done a lot of art direction work in a lot of superhero movies. And he's even directed some Marvel animation. That's just a profile on him as I watched the Flashpoint Paradox, which is, I don't know if I agree necessarily with the time travel elements but what happens is, and I think this is probably what happens in The Flash, the DCEU movie, is Barry Allen decides he wants to save his mom, and the effects go and screw up the future. And in this case, we have a war against humanity by the Atlanteans, led by Aquaman, and the Amazonians, led by Wonder Woman. And eventually that goes to hell, and they are at each other's throat. It's a world where Superman was captured by the U.S. government, and Thomas Wayne survives the assassination attempt, but Bruce doesn't, and there's implications of a different Joker. So that's the setup. I think this is really fills in a lot of holes for me. So I'm a Suicide Squad fan of the concept, so I've read probably more DC of that, and we're talking the New 56 or whatever that was. I'm not a comic book guy, let me just say that. I loved Assault on Arkham, and then I watched Hell to Pay, and you have to watch this one for that one to make sense. So this is an important film in the entire DC world, and it even inspires me to want to read the story now. But as for a feature, it's pretty solid. I don't like the fact that this was a PG-13. This is far more intense violence-wise than Assault on Arkham. And hey, King Shark is a shark, so that kind of states the violence in that one. And maybe even up there with Justice League Dark. Not as much dismemberment, I should say. It gets out there, and I don't really think you should show this one to anybody under 13. I have a feeling that a lot of DC cartoons are getting in their hands. But I'm not a parent. Why should I give a damn? But this was a lot of fun. As I say, I don't necessarily agree with the time travel rules, but I don't think anybody ever has come up with a set agreement upon that. But in this one, it's basically, even if you save somebody in the past, the effect of the time boom, a la Sonic Boom, is going to send ripples into the past further and into the future. And it addresses some social issues on top of that. And the voice cast is stacked. I mean, of course you have Nathan Fillion as the Green Lantern, but Michael B. Jordan as Cyborg, Carrie Ellis as Orn, Danny Houston is in there. It's only missing Rosario Dawson as Wonder Woman, if you're a real fan of this series. And you get some brutal stuff, like Wonder Woman goes Anakin Skywalker at one point. So there's a lot of stuff, if you're a DC fan, that I think is worth seeing. Now, when I go back to, say, the other one I watched so far this year was Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. This one is just very much just has the perfect balance of ridiculousness and references. So I think if you're a DC EU fan, I think this is the DC universe they called it back in the day. I don't know, so many acronyms and initials, but I think this is up there with Assault on Arkham. If you're going to do a DC library, I would probably start with this one. Well, no, Batman, the Dark Knight Returns. The point of the matter is, if it's got Jay Oliva attached to it, it's probably going to be good.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
And we are back. So, Fan Expo 2026 has been an overall good experience, I would say, for me thus far, at least through the first 2 days. There's highs, lows, I would say, but that's more just personal, not necessarily anything against the con. Now, I knew a lot of people, I think this is probably the first time that Fan Expo New Orleans has exposed guests to other, or I should say, additional charges. I know that the John Cena panel had gold tier and silver tier. General admission was free, but the night ended with the 25-year, the start of their tour, The Hobbits. We're talking Sean Astin, Elijah Wood, Billy Boyd, and Dominic Monaghan. And they were. That was a $25 ticket to make sure I could get in there. No free general admission. So, yeah, the price gouging has finally started here. I think that all stems from the fact that the main stage last year in Jamie Ray from Fave 5 for Fans can probably attest. You could pretty much see the stage from his table. So they added another hall, Hall H, of course. Yeah, this isn't San Diego. Sorry to poo-poo on that, but I digress. So yeah, they filled up with a lot of seats, though. So, I mean, yeah, that's one of those, like, I would say almost bigger than the main room, room 25 in Rosemont for Fan Expo Chicago. So, yeah, it was, so it just doesn't really feel right. Like, you can just have people have fun. I spent probably close to $110 for my ticket for a networking experience. So, spoiler alert, I'm not doing any panels on this one. If you listened last week, I probably said the same thing. It was just basically as I'm waiting, because Fan Expo, great, I'm probably ruining my chances with them, but I've got to be honest, you know me. Fan Expo does not let you know if your panel's been denied, I should say. Like, I'm still hopeful. C2E2's been emailing me updates, and it looks like there's a chance I'm going to be on there. And UICon has gotten back to me. I'm doing 3 panels there in the adopted hometown of Champaign, Illinois. I know, I live in Urbana now, but you get what I'm saying. And one of those little towns that I'm sure if I listen to the news, they might call Twin Cities like Bloomington normal. That's like Shambana. There we go. So, it's just, come on. You charge way too much for bloody autographs. It's a pain-in-the-butt system. Like, GalaxyCon at least does that better. And they do tell you as well if you get denied. So, yeah. So just a little drama there. So people are complaining. Like, I'm used to it now. It's been this way for at least 3-4 years with Fan Expo Chicago, the price gouging. But, some people were complaining about it behind me at one of the panels I attended and said, look, we should have just bought more Wizard magazine and we could have solved all that. So, but, I'm not really too miffed about extra fees and such because, like, the ridiculous stuff I end up buying anyhow kind of justifies it. Like, you were going to spend that much somewhere else that you didn't need. So, I got in Thursday afternoon. I was able to head down to the restaurant to chat. Actually ended up on Canal Street to begin because I was looking for some good chicken. And hey, you can't go wrong with Willie's chicken and daiquiris. I think it's essentially, they've got like 3-4 locations maybe on Canal Street. I prefer them over Voodoo Chicken. So, just for you tourists, I came across Bourbon Street, but I figured that could be too much trouble for me. So, got back to the hotel, hung around the restaurant a bit, socialized, had great rapport with the proprietor, might be the best term, of Quick Draw Teas. Yeah, they didn't have as much Tombstone merchandise, but they still had a fair amount of Val Kilmer. So, hey, honor to the legend, I suppose. And, and as I say, rapport with him, it's like, well, I'm also watching a bartender try to get the last out of a keg of Abita. I can't remember which he was drinking, but yeah, it was just like trying to make sure he got good head on that, and you have a tub just full of beer foam, and it's probably he's lucky to get charged for only 2. He had a separate beer bottle after that, so he only got charged 1, but there was another beer in there when you really stop and think about it. And I suppose, well, that shouldn't count because it would be pretty flat, dare I say, but I digress. Also ran into an artist from Chicagoland, and I say Chicagoland because his attitude, I wouldn't say Chicago proper, so just very much like, hey, I've worked my ass off type stuff, and screw the... Yeah, a lot of conservative talk there. That's about the most I've got from it, I suppose. So, not too bad. We had to deal with a drunk comedian, or I guess he might be somebody who's actually supposed to be posting stuff on the screens, which they didn't really have anything for, no trailers or anything like that. But he was going on rants about, bastardized, old stuff, like not original, okay? So, he didn't get a button, so he's not going to find the podcast. As for the artist, I mean, he's got some good stuff. He's got a great idea. Basically, he'll do the sketch for you, and then he will offer you the colored version. Doesn't do prints, and I think he's a little cynical about AI and such, but, again, I digress. And as for the comedian, he's just doing old spiels about how gay everybody was on Johnny Quest, and going on about old stuff when it comes to Gilligan's Island, and I was doing my best to shut him down, honestly, especially when he got to his relationship with I Dream of Jeannie, and I basically said, well, I guess that's just kind of the kink thing, but I got to the master, but I got to the existential issues of it, why, but no point arguing with him, just telling the bartender, yeah, well, he doesn't get it. So, but, hey, it's good to network at least that night. I got to the con before everything kicked off, which kind of surprises me. Like, I don't have the poetic critic with me, so it's like, I can just sleep in, do whatever. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of interesting panels, dare I say, which... Yeah, I dare, I guess, because why am I not on the show? But I only really went to check one panel out on Friday that wasn't celebrity-based. Celebrity-based. So I checked out the celebrity ones were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reunion. We're talking the guys who were either voice actors or wearing the suits back in 1990. So, Ernie Reyes Jr., Robbie Rist, who I, man, where else have I heard his voice? And I was kind of thinking, did they do come back for voices on Robot Chicken? Which isn't the case, but hey, Robbie Rist, Milo from Iron Eagle. I think that's a crazy flick if anybody wants to chat about it. So... just something out there. So I'm just trying my best to pull up what really miffed me, I suppose, from that day. There we go, Friday. The future of community, innovation and collaboration, led by Blurred Fest. Oh, great! They got a big old table, and they weren't up there to do their panel. And hey, 3 or 4 people. We're going to take the time for that, and heck. We're talking about community and collaboration. Now, and I will say I probably need to talk to those guys, which, oh great, way to crap on them right now, because it's Blurred Fest, but, at the table for the convention, and Blurred is short for Black Nerd. it kind of made me think, like, well, that, you know, skin tone, what have you, and probably should just step away from that. But yeah, I'm a little miffed. You don't show up, I'm there, you know, and I'm through 3 panels at Fan Expo, and I couldn't get one. So, little miffed there. But as for the vendor floor, well, again, going back to networking at the hotel. So, a lot of people, you know, are staying here at the Hilton Garden Inn. And, you know, I met the proprietors of Printopia, Texas, and I got myself some cool, there's some pics on my Blue Sky at catbusruss.bsky.social of me with my Tron disc. We're talking Tron Legacy. Again, I'm always partial to the designs of the original Tron, and after Tron Ares, maybe Ares as well, because, of course, Ares goes back and does a lot of throwbacks, flashbacks to the 80s grid, I should say. So, that was the big buy, I think. And, you know, otherwise, the floor, I don't want to say kind of lacking, but kind of lacking. Ultra Sabers isn't here. T-Turtle, you know, the ones I'm just used to seeing. And then, you know, I didn't even get, it doesn't look like the punk rock nerds from St. Louis made the trip. They didn't make the trip. I don't know why I was saying they didn't seem to. So, but, you know, I got myself into some weird video game stuff. Like today I bought a $40 Nintendo 3DS cartridge that's supposed to have, you know, 14, like, they say over 300. It says 4,300 on the on the disc. You know, hey, but I brought my Nintendo 2DS in to catch up on Pokemon Ultra Sun. Just figured I'm still putting off playing Pokemon Legends Z to A, but that's, you know, just where I'm at there. But fortunately, the other panels I checked out, the turtles are great. Love hearing Wrist and his turtles. We had a lot of back and forth between Brian Toshi and I gotta figure out the name of the guy who played Raph. Ernie Reyes Jr. was there, very humble guy, so awesome. Brian Toshi, Ken Scott. So you get to hear fun stories about him. Very few, like he was a stuntman in the first one, and talks about like the hardest fall was being thrown down the stairs, and they decided, well, that was supposed to be Leo, so they just swapped heads and threw him downstairs because he played Raph. And fun dynamic of Toshi and let me get that name again. Thank you for your patience. Ken Scott about who the actual leader is, and they even joke about the TURTLE power song about, you know, that song mentions is playing over the end credits and mentions Raph as the leader. So I'm with Leonardo. I digress. So they were fun. That was fun chat, and then I finished off the day there with Bootleg Safari, which was a lot of fun as always. This time, Aaron Reynolds had Trevor Fernandez, I'm just gonna have to pull up the Instagram on that one. He said, "Don't try typing his name in if you're searching for him." And infamously, he says that Fan Expo always misspells his name, and I think they got it right this time. And then Aaron, effing Birds fame, went and sabotaged it, and that was returned. The favor was returned, and Aaron's a good sport. He still kept it up today. So, but I think his Instagram, Trevor's, is okay, there we go. Pocket Watch Press at Instagram. So go just Pocket Watch Press at Instagram. and I went through the same thing, like back with the Twitter days of just grabbing multiple handles, never having everything universal. So, so that was a fun panel where we got to see some great knockoffs, like Big Fella, Godzilla, weird superhero knockoffs where, Batman's got different colors, his sidekick, Super Moon Man, something like that, and it's not even on his own box. And then weird stuff like Sniper Spider-Man, who doesn't wear gloves, so he wants you to know who put that through Doc Ock. And then there was a weird Bart Simpson riding a motorcycle, and let's just say I got a good vibrations joke in after one of their comments. So, and there was actually like a really cool ET thing, which is really stupid and I guess isn't a knockoff, but it's basically Elliot and ET in a motorcycle sidecar situation. So, and they talked about a movie with the Turtles reunion and such. It was the Korean knockoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where they just had suits based around the Playmate toys. So, those toys just had the turtles grimacing, so you see the teeth out the side, but the beak covers the front. They didn't move. People are wandering out the turtle heads to play different characters. It's incorporating GoBots footage. Of course, we're going to throw weird little kids in there to be heroes as well. It was quite the experience, I would say. We also saw Turkish Uno, which is Dos. No, I'm sorry, Duo is what they call it in Turkey. So I'm just trying to think, because I swear I would probably have had that. Okay, so the movie we got to see, and you can thank, Rob Hill and the Bad Movie Bible, of course, but you can thank Aaron Reynolds for really further bringing these films to attention, like Lady Terminator, and actually it was Brad Jones I spoke with about Shocking Dark, Terminator 2. Our friend Power 5 is your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles GoBot knockoff from Korea. So, fun was had there. And, the only problem is no subtitles yet on that film. So, I don't know, maybe I Did Crazy Flicks needs to go into that GoFundMe status. With my Patreon, dare I say. Right now, I'm only looking for $3 a month. $3 a month gets you access to the original 90forchill.com, the podcast feed, free from the conservative influence of Podbean. You also get yourself a waterproof sticker. I put them on my water bottles at work, and just to promote the show slightly, dare I say. I know my rules, corporate, but I also throw, if you don't want a sticker, I can send you a magnet. I throw that on my locker. Again, promotion is what I'm going for there. And you also get a shout out on every episode as long as you're subscribed. So thank you, Tim Bates. I hope we can try to work something out at the end of the month. But you can find him on episodes about 1989's Bloodsport in Space Arena and the 1988 horror comedy classic Night of the Demons. So, and I also have to thank Scoop Staley, former AAW wrestling backstage personality. And hey, thanks, Dad, for all the support, especially this weekend. Alright, so that's patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlicks. So, where to now? I guess, I concluded day one. Day one of the con, my second night down here, with a cool little, date with a girl off of Bumble. Nothing exciting happened, but hey, it's just great to connect with somebody for about 3 hours just talking, and really just talking, I would say. But the bar we were at was the Rusty Nail, and it's a nice little facility. It's one of those weird ones because she was kind of surprised that they were closing around 2, but it's not downtown, so Not the 24/7 vibe, which I didn't even really get a grasp of when I was down here last year. And I was definitely in a more partying mindset. So thanks, Megan, for a good time, and she gave me a ride home, or to the hotel. So, as I say, nothing exciting, nothing salacious, But hey, I'm just saying what's going on, and you just have to appreciate that New Orleans hospitality. So, otherwise, I ended up going. It's getting a later start. I was thinking about checking out the Reno 911 panel, but hey, sleep's been weird after the train, and just not really keeping my hours straight, honestly, because it's been a long time since I've been up around 3 a.m. So that, I don't know, a long time. Yeah, it feels like a long time. Let's just put it that way. So I ended up starting the day at day 2 at Fan Expo, checking out. Come on. Sorry. I know, great audio. All right, Saturday. Checked out a Luke Cage with Mike Coulter, who played Luke Cage. And it wasn't really about Luke Cage, dare I say. The only question I could think I could offer would be, hey, have you talked to Nicholas about, that's allegedly where Nicholas Coppola, better known as Nicolas Cage, took because of his fandom for the Luke Cage comic books, took that as his last name. There's also a composer, and I know his dad was very much Francis Ford Coppola's dad was, I believe, a composer. So, cool influences there. I can appreciate it as a wrestling fan. I also did, prior to it, I did check out where they were having Bizarro Wrestling, and they were having a cool little gimmick, like, hey, $40, go and do your own take on your favorite wrestler's intro. And it's kind of got me thinking of some ideas for that, but met the guy from Hammerlock Press, very cool. Picked up his soon-to-be an animated TV show, I believe, Vampiro comic book. So, look forward to that. And, but when it comes back to Mike Coulter, he really kind of, I don't know, he was talking about making movies in New Orleans. He's done 2, and Black and Blue, I think, was one of them. And the other one was Girls Trip. And he just went off about how they cut a scene that makes me look so I could look like the villain in Girls Trip, when it's like, no, I was both of them have side pieces. That shouldn't, equal blame. It's like, dude, it's a movie, it's a gross out comedy for women. Like, that's probably oversimplifying it. I have not seen it, I know, but that seemed like the target audience when I was going. So, you just don't want your... Like, what kind of message is that if you really are promoting the side chick thing? Like, oh, don't kink shame, but come on. So, yeah, I thought that was a little, like, dude, you're said the quiet part loud type situation. But, he recovered, talking about, we can't give anything to AI, and mentioning that very much about the working man, since talking about waiting tables. Again, we didn't really talk much Luke Cage. There were questions eventually. It was supposed to be pre-submitted questions to start, but small crowd, honestly. And I say small crowd, I think I heard somebody say, well, they're not going to this many numbers. Like, there's no way that room hit that number, but people going in and out, I suppose. You have to scan your badge in that case. But very much about the, he really appreciated the working man struggle. There's no such thing as trickle down economics, only trickle up, and brought up being, a waiter for so long that, the people who train at, who work at the Cheesecake Factory have more training than any member of ICE. And it's a sad blip on Peoria, as that was the guy who murdered the woman in Minneapolis. I'm sorry. ICE can't be allowed to have guns. Like, that's something we should be preaching law enforcement anyhow, because they're not going, de-escalation is something they don't think about it when they have deadly force available. Like, oh, I can de-escalate this fast. Like, if that guy didn't have a gun, what would he have done? He would have stepped away from the vehicle. So, yeah. Defund ICE and release the Epstein files, obviously. That was something, like, Megan gave me a great insight on New Orleans, which I kind of already knew, and but she likes living here because it's got the right mindset. There was a great sign while I was walking back to the hotel, long way, passing some historical sites, and somebody had a sign posted up on a wall saying, "If America was like gumbo, it'd be better with less ice." So yeah, I like this town. I know I did on Friday. Sorry to go back. I did run into Brian Plato of the NOLA Film Scene podcast. Caught up with him. Man, this guy knows how to pitch. I don't know if he knows how to pitch, but he's going to pitch. Because I ran into him just as I picked up an alligator sausage, which, I don't know, maybe that was just the name for... It didn't taste weird, I suppose. Or it didn't taste off the wall or anything like that. Maybe a little more gamey. I think a bison dog is better in that case. It wasn't bad. And text that to my dad, who served down in New Orleans back in the early 70s. And he said, it's an acquired taste. So maybe he's on the same page. I'm not going to say it tasted like chicken. Just tastes like any generic sausage. Not as good, and definitely like if they had andalou available, I could add a link of that like nothing. All right, so but Brian was great. Getting the chat with him. He's got he's moving and some shaking, and I think he's got a good future ahead of him in the acting career down there. And I also ran into, sorry to go back to Friday, somebody he worked with. I think he was a director on a movie they did together. I got the comic book, so I'm going to go and grab that. So I'll do my best to talk loud enough. I think that's more than the case. I think we got an echo effect in this hotel room. But yeah, let me get that guy's comic. So Dope Smack is a comic he made from a movie he was working on. And I think he's been working on the movie for about 4 years. The author of Dope Smack is Joe Mexican. And yeah, looks very promising. Joe is also wearing the outfit, the costume of him, so he's put a lot of effort in there. I can't wait to see that get finalized. Alright, walking back, and it's almost like, maybe I should just stay away like that for the rest of the podcast. I'll sit further away from the computer. So, yeah, it's good to see that. And then I would say with Joe Mexican, though, it's just funny. And I go on, this is something I wanted to say when I listened to the last, it wasn't the last NOLA Film Scene I listened to, but they were doing a celebration, maybe 100 episodes. And, people calling in, mentioning everybody who's been on the show, helped the show out. And then, like, maybe we could do, like, a podcast like we did with that guy at Fan Expo New Orleans. Like, and my name's the one that's not going to be mentioned. So, but, no, Brian was cool, and TJ just couldn't make it. He's the other host on NOLA Film Scene, feeling under the weather. I just hope he gets to feeling better. And, but, let's get back. So, after the next panel I checked out wasn't a panel, it was the Aerial Space Squad's performance, themed around, or at least the clickbait, I guess you would say, would be, do you want to see Gollum pole dance? And he did a good job. I think it was a little too K-pop Demon Hunter centered, but I could appreciate every twist they tried on anime, particularly Sailor Kiki and Sailor Mononoke, and you had also Sailor Wonder Wonder Woman, which is a really talented dancer, black man. But so, it's a great display of burlesque. I don't know what my niece would think about the Baby Saja dancer. I'm just, I guess, kind of disappointed because I didn't hear them announce that they were doing another speakeasy performance, because this is just pole tricks and circles, and I'm sorry if that sounds like I'm trivializing it. I mean, the talent is there. Great work, great efforts by everybody. It's just I kind of like the tease element, so I think just not, without the tease, and honestly, the most teasy stuff would be our gentleman who did Sailor Wonder Woman. It's okay, that feels the most burlesque because it's off the wall. But all talented people really need I guess it just says I have to get down the Mardi Gras, because they will do these same performances while being dragged by bikes, on poles, on rings. So I just have to admire the effort these gals and girls put into it. Guys and gals put into it. So, entertaining show. And, probably the nicest thing, and it was, again, something that would be a great tease act, was somebody was the fairy from Fern Gully. So, I'm just glad we brought up Fern Gully. Another thing about my Fan Expo for me, I think I did an alright job promoting the podcast on day one. I was really Ghibli'd out, though, I should say. I had my Totoro loafers on. Of course, I had the Cat Bus hat. That's the gimmick. I had my, and I had a Calcifer pullover, button-up shirt open so I could have my Calcifer tank top, and got a lot of reactions for that. And that's what you need. Somebody saying, "What's that?" There was a vendor who was actually commenting because I had buttons all along my left arm, and she said, "Oh, what's those?" And it was fun conversation because it was well, it's for my podcast. Give her a button, and I do Shadowcast. It's okay, how did we transition to that? And I had to ask, are we on the same page? And I'm interested, though, because she said, yeah, I Shadowcast Rocky Horror, and I've Shadowcast Repo. And it's oh, shit, that would be great to have Repo the Genetic Opera. So I gotta keep my nose to the ground, my ear to the ground to see if Chicagoland ever gets Repo on the big screen. So, and then getting back to after the Aerial Space Squad, I did check out the John Cena panel, and man, it's tough for me as a he was the franchise of perhaps the worst stretch of professional wrestling. And I say that as in we didn't have, a competitor. But, and I think he honestly realizes, it wasn't the game he grew up with. And I'm not saying the wrestling is any worse. I'm saying the product. You have Seth Rollins, Bryan Danielson, CM Flunk. But, it's, I guess I'm a little bit well, Phil Brooks, you gotta bring your A game with him. It's if he wants to work, AEW, what can I say? So yeah, I didn't really get I didn't line up for questions because I've asked him a question and technically had him on the podcast. Who knows why? Maybe that's why Fan Expo is keeping me away from panels. So check out Chicago. Fan Expo Chicago 2025 episode of the podcast where I asked John Cena the nicest question he's ever been asked. And I would say the questions were, you just have to admire his honesty, and he's very humble. So you can't hate the guy, despite, for me being a independent wrestler circa 2000. My time was 2002 to 2009 was the last time, was when I thought it was over. I did make a brief comeback in 2011 doing some dark matches. But really I only had, say, a 5-year run myself. So, and, I'm watching Ring of Honor, a little Impact, not a lot, but, just those are the styles, like real CM Punk when he could work. There, I said it. WWE style is just not Punk. And I'm telling everyone, good DJing there at the creator stage, which, like, I will at least give them that. They did keep the curator stage busy, but a lot of it was just like promoting. It again, money has really screwed Fan Expo. Like, oh well, we'll get these voice actor classes and everything. It's like, how many do you need? I suppose one a day for every day, but hey, come on, give us some space. Help young creators out, not people who are just like, that's, I guess, what Fan Expo should be, is like, okay, well, and let's have the fans do stuff. Because again, like that collaboration one from the Blurred group would have been great. At least I could try to connect and figure out how to do things better, how to get more people involved. And they don't show up, and it's like, well, shit. They get that panel just because they bought a table? I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why Jamie Ray didn't buy a table. I don't know. That's a lot of speculation I shouldn't really get myself into, but John Cena is, and he's just sharp. I mean, I got to watch the Vince McMahon documentary again for the concussion segment to see if he makes that real. Like, the worst thing I think he got was a really tight back belly to back suplex from Shinsuke Nakamura. Teardrop, dare I say, backdrop suplex, some would say. But no, John Cena, if he's there, he is at least worth sitting in on. I didn't pay for the tickets, so obviously I couldn't get to the no point in me trying to get into the queue. And that was also a big moment of the neurodivergence. Like, people sit down. Like, dude, just they are going to do that. Just chill out. I can't see anything. Well, it's John Cena. You can't see him anyhow. So, and then I had an hour to kill, and but ended up with a panel I was really looking forward to, and I'm not certain if Corey Feldman is here or not, or maybe he's just doing Sunday. But they had Jamison Newlander from The Lost Boys. He played Alan Frog, the brother of Edgar, Corey Feldman. It was interesting to hear about his acting journey, how he got to this, how Monster Squad wouldn't have him because of the his connection to The Lost Boys. And he was very honest about the sequels, so a lot of insight there. Like, The Thirst was really just supposed to be a remake with the title, with the Lost, just be The Lost Boys all over again. And I've reviewed it on 90forchill.blogspot.com. I guess I should go and bring it on to the idigcrazyflix.com. So yeah, it is a beat by beat remake, except with boobs, and some gory graphic violence, which sadly peaks at the beginning of the film, where Tom Savini had his cameo. So, but I got asked a question, and me might have that audio, dare I say, but I dare. And then from there, I had to get right down to the Hobbits panel, and that was just a ball. Like, Mardi Gras themed, they had a bead throwing contest, a whiteboard game of, kind of like newlywed game in a sense. Who is the most likely to befriend people, who is most likely to, let's see, what was another ones? Really, I mean, the tour started well enough that I'm looking forward to seeing them at Fan Expo Chicago. So, hey, they got another $25 from me. So, but, no, Sean Astin, I did not know he was the president of SAG-AFTRA. So, he was kind of like, a little bit of a boss. But Elijah Woods, he's the one at the potty mouth in this case. Billy Boyd followed that. So I can't wait to see Billy Boyd's panel tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get up for that. It's 10 p.m. right now. So 11 p.m. panel. And then I got to straighten out my room situation because I didn't realize I wasn't going to get hours at my retail job. I don't know how long that's going to last. But I'm a little freaked out about that. But, I will... I've had some great friends. Be very supportive. Just, know at least I'm selling to them that, or at least the person I'm selling to them, Megan down here, and there's a girl who probably doesn't want to be mentioned that we're still chatting about, Bumble, power of Bumble, dare I say. And it got me to my trivia team shrug emoji. Just like a lot of affirmation, and, sometimes that's, that is worth, meeting people. It's just like it feels good that I'm able, I was able to, say who I am in so many, so much detail because again, I'm a long-winded person. So, and they gather like my dad. I did bring that up. My dad is a great listener, and it goes back to with my, when I was working on my grandma's computer back in the day. Well, how'd you fix this? Would be when he got home from work. And I said, well, I did this, followed. He listened so much that when I got to my conclusion, he said, well, why didn't you just do this? Like, he could piece things together. And, it's great to know people who are like him and might think I'm cute. So... so it's been a, I guess today was a little tougher for me because, again, I didn't all Ghibli up. I just wore my, Atlanta United FC, secondary kit, which I had personalized Cat Bus Russ on the back of it, and my Cat Bus hat. And it wasn't drawing as much attention. Well, didn't feel like I was drawing any attention until the end, where it's like, after, it took me asking Jameson Newlander a question, like, okay, I've put myself out there. Let's start handing out buttons. And, it's not well, obviously I'm not doing a panel, so it's not going to be I'm going to have more buttons than I had leaving St. Louis or leaving Iowa. But, if I can get to a performance state, I think I am fried gold. So, a slice of fried gold, to quote Ed from Shaun of the Dead. I guess I'm figuring stuff out. So it's been a worthwhile trip just because of that. So I'm going to try to wind down, get to bed at a decent time. I still need to eat. I don't think I've really been doing enough of that, and that's pretty common for me at a convention. So, it's restaurant probably downstairs closed, so I'll probably have to go back to Canal Street. But I'll figure that out. Hopefully get back in time, back to bed in reasonable time. So, we'll talk about, so that's going to be our Wednesday episode of I Dig Crazy Flicks. Will be me chatting about the final day, and I might be doing some things to the Patreon, which may lead me to just go like, maybe I'll just throw this all together in one big one on Wednesday if people don't check out the bonus, but we'll see how that plays out. So thank you very much for all the support. Thanks for just taking the time to listen, especially if you're one of those people I gave buttons to at Fan Expo. It was great of you for giving me that time to throw that pitch out there. And yeah, that's one thing I will say. The hospitality has been great down in New Orleans. So, I guess we can just wrap this up. But, so let's get through the formalities. Let's see if I can keep it under an hour. So, if you want to help the show out, obviously we discussed my Patreon, patreon.com/IDidCrazyFlix. You can obviously rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. I'm not going video, so, do your best with YouTube, dare I say. But be honest in your comments, and I will learn from them and create a better show just for you. But the best way to help 90 for Chill, I'm sorry, again, brand change. That's something I said in an elevator. Like, I might not have the podcast down, but I did Crazy Flicks. I got the brand. Be a guest on I Did Crazy Flicks. All I'm looking for is a movie, a theme, a director, an actor, as long as the movie is off the walls, a little insane, bonkers, dare I say. I would love to chat about it, but if you got something a little more mellow, a nice little brief indie drama, 70 to 100 minutes, hey, that's 90 for Chill all the way. So just email russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com with those offerings. Or you can connect with me on my social media. That's at CatBusRuss on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. I am not a Meta fan, so you're going to get everything definitely on Blue Sky. So I just got to get to the main, that's something I hope I don't talk too much about. Well, I don't know, because Stacia Harden is, no amount of words does her justice. Thanks for keeping an eye on me and keeping me out of too much trouble. And I hope you're doing the same for everybody else you touch in your life. And I hope you're squeezing the ectoplasm out of Skimbleshanks, the most jellicle of kitties, the one-eared angel. So, hey, I hope you had a good time with this podcast. Thanks for checking out. I Did Crazy Flicks with Cat Buster Russ. And until Wednesday, I suppose.
Can I hear a wahoo?
This podcast was made possible by the love and support of Dave and Cindy Stevens, Rory Stevens and Allison Higgins, Danny Daniels, and Stephanie Smith.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.